Thursday saw the Hockey Hall of Fame induction ceremonies held at the Hall's location on the Canadian National Exhibition Grounds in Toronto, Ontario. Some 300 guests, including about 22 honored members, were present for the induction ceremony. The 5 new members of the Hall are Terry Sawchuk, Harvey Busher Jackson, Ralph Cooney Weiland, Dr. Gordon Roberts, and Arthur Wirtz. Not expected to attend, and in fact he didn't attend the ceremonies, was Conn Smythe, who resigned as chairman of the Hall Selection Committee after the announcement in June that Busher Jackson was among those being honored by the selection committee. Jackson, who died 5 years earlier, was a member of the famous Toronto Maple Leafs kid line with Joe Primo and Charlie Conacher in the 1930s under team owner Smythe, who was then also managing the team. But Smythe maintained the opposition to Jackson joining the Hall because of the player's rather controversial and unsavory off-ice activities. Still holding a grudge, Smythe just quit the Hall. Now, I felt this was a very hypocritical move by Conn Smythe. The only reason I felt that way was because I had many long conversations with the former Leaf great Teeter Kennedy, and Teeter related to me some of the things he had to do as captain of the Maple Leafs and Smythe's top employee, so to speak. He was required during his off-ice time to attend several functions at the Conn Smythe's residence. And these functions were, if you knew Teeter Kennedy, not the type of things he liked to attend. In fact, he loathed going to these things. He worked out a deal with Smythe that he would show up, he'd shake a few hands of police chiefs and lawyers and judges and doctors, and then some activities with which Teeter abhorred, he would not agree with, would begin to take place, and Teeter would slip out the back door unnoticed and would not participate in any of those activities. But it was okay for Smythe and his cronies to do that, but not a former player who probably was woefully underpaid by Smythe as well. We did want to talk a little bit about this Hall of Fame class for a couple other reasons, which will become apparent as I bring you this story. And this is by Dick Beddoes of the Toronto Globe and Mail. Now, you have to remember, Dick Beddoes was fast and loose with the facts, with many things, but he did report on this. The Hall of Fame induction ceremonies were a particularly favorite topic of Dick's, so we'll just bring you his story that appeared in the Globe and Mail. Kim Jackson, the 16-year-old son of the late left wing on the kid line of the old Maple Leafs, Harvey Jackson, was the major beneficiary of the Hockey Hall of Fame inductions at the CNE. Hall of Fame selector Milt Dunnell announced in presenting Jackson's plaque that, quote, "You've got a wonderful opportunity through hockey. The president of the NHL, Mr. Clarence Campbell, has asked me to announce that the league has guaranteed your education for as long as you want to collect college degrees." Now, Dunnell added, "You can go on until you get a Rhodes Scholarship if you like, and then come back from Oxford like Mr. Campbell did and claim his chair as president of the NHL." Campbell, who's been president of the hockey's major league since 1946, was a Rhodes Scholar from the University of Alberta in 1925. Kim Jackson, dark and mod in a double-breasted plum-colored suit, made a simple response. "On behalf of my father, thank you." His father, known as Busher, skated to a prominence 40 years ago in a swift alliance with Joe Primo and Charlie Conacher. Primo and Conacher were elevated to the Hall of Fame several years ago, but Jackson was barred until 2 months ago when he received his selection. The election precipitated the resignation of Conn Smythe as the honorary director of the selection committee, the combative founder of the Maple Leafs contended that Jackson's behavior off the ice should have forever eliminated him from Hall of Fame consideration. Smythe's son Stafford, the current president of Maple Leaf Gardens, expressed greater forbearance. The kid line should have gone into the Hall of Fame as a unit, but Jackson's troubles had nothing to do with his class as a hockey player. So he disagreed with his father, which I think this is one thing Stafford Smythe got right. Now, Busher's son has lived for the past 4 years with his mother in Langley, BC, where she operates an antique shop called Valley Traders. He recently returned to live with his half-brother, Gary Garrett, who lives in Mississauga. Kim said, "I'm in grade 10 and I hope to take advantage of the NHL offer. My grades are average in most subjects, but really good in science and physical education. I haven't played hockey, though, since the early grades. I've more been interested in track." Busher Jackson was one of 5 admitted to a lodge that now includes 135 players, 483 builders, and 7 referees. And in many cases, that builder category is where you get one of your cronies in there when he didn't really play the game, and you can kind of slide him through with some rather nebulous qualifications that we found with a lot of guys. Others, like for instance the great Herb Carnegie, may not have had the playing credentials, definitely deserved right now, 50 years later, induction into the Hockey Hall of Fame. And there is, in fact, right now, as I speak, a petition going around allowing people to sign up to petition the Hockey Hall of Fame to admit Herb Carnegie. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, Google Herb Carnegie hockey player, and you'll find out what a wonderful, amazing hockey player and man he was. I had the pleasure of meeting Herb Carnegie once, and he was an amazing individual. I'll never forget it. He was a special human being. Some of the others that were inducted last night, well, we talked about Terry Sawchuk. He had 20 big league seasons, appeared in 971 regular season games. He had a lifetime goals against average of 2.52, and he registered 103 shutouts, an NHL record that would stand for many, many years. He won the Vezina Trophy 3 times in Detroit, and he shared it once with Johnny Bauer when they played for the Maple Leafs together. Emil Francis, general manager of the Rangers and former goalkeeper himself, eulogized Sawchuk by saying when the odds were the greatest, Terry was the toughest. And for my money, if I had to win one hockey game and needed to pick a goalkeeper, it would be Terry Sawchuk. Others inducted were, of course, Arthur Wirtz, chairman of the Chicago Blackhawks, Cooney Whalen, who was a slick center for the Boston Bruins. They had a line called the Dynamite Line 40 years ago. In 1970, it was 40 years ago. And his accomplices were Dick Clapper and the late Dutch Gaynor. Whalen sat at the ceremony between Sawchuk's son Jerry Sawchuk, who accepted his father's award, and Kim Jackson. In a classy move, Cooney Whalen, sitting between the two sons of the Hall of Famers being inducted, said, "You know, I never played against Terry Sawchuk, but I did play against Harvey Jackson. And I only want to say to you, Kim, that he was quite a hockey player. No offense, but I'm sorry that your dad isn't here in your place."